What up, everybody? It's your boy Chaz Pearson, and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host Chris Camello. What up, Chris?
Hey, I don't know how they did it, but the Dodgers are NL West champs yet again. A freaking roller
Yet
coaster ride
again,
these last three
man.
days, but it ended up with a champagne celebration. So I guess something is right in the world, my friend.
Yet again, man. For the 12th time in 13 years, these Dodgers are going back to the MLB playoffs. We're getting into everything from the Lakers press conference today to NFL Week 4 picks. I'm actually on a heater on these parlays, Chris, even though we didn't get last week's picks because the damn Rams could not cover the spread. But the Seahawks did tonight, so I get a little bit of action back at it. But we also are talking a little bit of baseball about the Dodgers, and NBA training camp is officially opening this week. We've already had a few media days from the Knicks to the Phoenix Suns to Skinny Zion making his debut.
Mm,
We'll get into all of that in tonight's edition of the Outlet Forum. But Chris, I got to start first, man, because this
yes,
press
sir.
conference today with the LA Lakers was just something else to me. The fact that Rob Pelinka sporting that jacket. I like the fact that he was actually messing with it a little bit more than he was last time, and he heard obviously a little bit of noise about him wearing these stylish jackets. I actually like him. I don't know why people like to get on him. Maybe just because he's the head of the Lakers, but JJ Redick and Rob Pelinka got in front of the LA NBA media and took questions, fielded questions, something that James Dolan and the New York Knicks organization just refuses to do out there in New York. But that's another story for another day. Chris, what did you make of the press conference today, and how did it sit with some of the takeaways that you have about the team going into training camp? It's crazy that we're already here.
Yeah, it's obviously been a long off season for the Lakers, which is never a good thing because that means that their season ended toward the end of April or middle of April. I can't even really remember, but I know their season ended awfully quick, losing in 5 games to the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was looking like a very underwhelming off season until they finally started to make some big time moves, adding DeAndre Ayton to shore up front court. They added Marcus Smart, who they're hoping will rebound and have a good season. And they also added Jake LaRavia, who could be a potential 3-and-D wing and someone who could shore up that wing position and provide some shooting as well as some defense on the perimeter. So I like the fact that JJ and Rob got in front of the LA media today, sort of a appetizer for the media day coming up on Tuesday. It's been kind of a interesting off season. There was a lot of storylines. LeBron opting in. What's his future now? Luka Doncic getting into this incredible shape and balling out at Eurobasket. How many guys are on short-term deals and how Rob Pelinka called today optionality. I think what this was to do today was basically talk about the state of the team and talk about what to expect this upcoming season. And I think the word that I am going to describe with the Lakers is, I would say, a really good team, but I think short of a finals team right now. I think
Okay.
they'll be
All
in
right.
that mix of all the other great Western Conference teams. But as of right now, because I do want to see what it's going to look like on paper, they're going to be anywhere from 3 to about 6 for me. You got Oklahoma City, you got Houston, you got Denver. The Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be good. The Clippers, even with all the negativity around them, as long as Kawhi Leonard is healthy and is in a Clippers uniform, they're going to be in the mix. So I apologize for my voice, by the way, dealing with a little bit of a
Mm,
chest
No,
cold.
you're
So
you're
bear with
good,
me a
dog.
little bit tonight.
You don't even
Yeah.
sound that bad, dog. You good. You ain't even have to say all that. You good. You
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like talking like Sean McVay over here. But there was one thing I wanted to
good.
present to you. So
You're no
JJ
professional.
Redick just completed the first year of his contract, and then Rob Pelinka made it a point to say we gave JJ an extension on 1 year of a 4-year deal. So he had 3 years, I think, left on his deal. Now I don't know what the exact terms of the extension was. Was it just a 1-year extra extension to give
We
him 4 more years
we
left on
have
his
we
deal?
have no
And what are your
idea.
thoughts on
We
that?
have we have no idea. I look, man. When you see what you want and you go after it and it looks good, it feels good, It's going good. You want to lock that down. You might want to put a ring on it. And not only did the Lakers put a ring on it, they went and got an extra wedding band and upgraded the ring after the first year of marriage because JJ getting an extension and probably a raise, to be honest. The
Yeah,
Lakers have not
probably.
treated any coach like this. They haven't treated any. They didn't even treat Phil Jackson like this. He had to scrape and claw
No.
in order to get his extensions. Even and that's after winning championships. He never. JJ Redick had to, kind of prove himself. I mean, obviously, coming out in your first year and making the playoffs and winning 50 games is big
Mhm.
stuff. I think did the Lakers win the division? I don't think the
Yeah,
Clippers
yeah, they
had a
won the
better
Pacific.
record. Yeah, they won the division.
No, they
So
didn't.
I mean, when you come out as a rookie head
Yeah,
coach your
they
first year
did.
and do something like that, it's just it speaks volumes to the coach that you are and division. And I look, here's the thing. I said it when JJ took the job after that first press conference, and I know a few people laughed at me when I put this out there, but I said that Rob Pelinka may have found his Pat Riley to Jerry West. Just talking
Mhm.
about the synergy that Jerry West and Pat Riley had from front office to head coach, that relationship in terms of bringing players in, doing whatever they needed to, having that synergy, thinking the same, which is what JJ had mentioned in the press conference. So I just love the fact that they're on the same page. JJ got an extension. He's not only going to be here for a short time, but a long time. And you lined him up with Luka. So it gives Luka peace of mind knowing that he's going to be coached
Yeah,
by the same guy for at least at minimum the next 3 years and beyond, given that partnership that they have. So I think that's very important. But really, what spoke to me more than anything in today's press conference was the fact that the reporters didn't like pull back on any of the questions. They were asked about Dalton Connect and his regression. They were asked about DeAndre Ayton, who's going to start, Marcus Smart, lineups, this and that. I just love
yeah.
the
LeBron's future.
LeBron's future. I love that JJ said that he talked to LeBron in the Hamptons, had dinner with him in LA. They're, already discussing what everything is going to be like before they get into training camp. So I just
Mhm.
I I just love the fact that everybody seems to be on the same
For sure.
page.
For sure. And you know what? And you could make the same argument with Darvin Ham. That first year that Ham was with the Lakers, it was it was essentially 2 seasons in one, right? You had Westbrook and you had Patrick Beverly and you had all these small guards out there. And then all of a sudden they make this big midseason trade. They bring in Malik Beasley, they bring Jared Vanderbilt, they bring in Rui Hachimura and who else did they bring in? D'Angelo Russell, and it was essentially like having to commit to a new style of play. With JJ, you can make the same argument, Chaz, that this past season was like 2 seasons in one. When you go from Anthony Davis, who's been a pillar in this organization for nearly 6 seasons, and then you move off of him and you bring in not just a current star, but one that could be a star for the Lakers for the foreseeable future. And now not only do you move off of Davis, but now in a sense, you have, LeBron James, I know this is going to sound funny to say, almost becomes a little bit more expendable where you're not leaning on LeBron like you once did. You're not leaning on Anthony Davis like you once did because now you have another star for the future. I know that doesn't sound right, but I'm saying now you have a star in place for the future. And that was something that even when Anthony Davis was here, Chaz, what was the question that everybody was asking? Yes, Anthony Davis can be here, but we're going to need another true number one superstar to pair along with him. Luka, Giannis, somebody along those, Tatum, somebody along those lines of a top 5, top 4 player in the NBA. So I think now that the smoke has been settled, Luka is here. He's committed to being in shape. He seems to be happy here. The organization has done a lot to do right by him. Now you have the new ownership group coming in. You can't expect that to be any different. In fact, hopefully things continue to get enhanced like analytics and advanced scouting and things of that nature. It kind of feels like the future is set for now. Granted, you're still going to need to build with other pieces. We don't know what this roster is going to look like long term because you have a lot of guys on expiring deals or player options for 26. So that's really going to be the interesting tell of what the Lakers are going to do, more importantly, next year as well. But for now, this is a solid squad.
You just they just need to upgrade Vando, in my opinion. If you can get somebody that can shoot in Vando's spot and play somebody about 80% of the defense that Vando plays, you'll be okay. Um, but I think outside of that, that the team is solid, and even they're just going to have even more tools at their disposal next year and next off season, especially showing what Luka's been able to do with recruiting Marcus Smart and DeAndre Ayton. So that gets me pretty excited as far as the Lakers go. But there are plenty of other teams that are opening up training camp with the same high hopes, making some moves. I mean, there are some players that are already making some pretty big headlines, and that's just and before they even touch the court. And one of those is Zion. Chris, NBA training camp is now
Yes.
opening, and Zion, looks like he's in much better shape. The last year that he's had was pretty tumultuous from probably a personal level since he was in the news to a professional level with being out of shape, being hurt, not being on the floor, not being able to, put himself all the way out there. I know this was a topic that you wanted to discuss, but there are plenty of other teams as
Yes.
well that have high hopes. What do you make of Zion Williamson and how they're going to open up training camp? Do you think the Pelicans can actually do anything? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't.
Well, it's a new day in New Orleans right now. They cleaned house with David Griffin. Obviously, Trajan Langdon was already gone. I believe he's with the Pistons now, but they got rid of Swin Cash. And they brought in Joe Dumars. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, Joe Dumars. Blah, blah, blah. Hey, look, Joe Dumars built a very, very good team in Detroit. And everyone's going to talk about the 04 championship, yes. But the road to get to the finals ran through Detroit for the better part of a decade between 02 and 08. I mean, that was 6 straight years of Detroit, or I'm sorry, 03 to 08. So it was about 5-6 years straight of going to the Eastern Conference Finals. That was a different era. But Joe Dumars built a foundation of just workmanlike, a workmanlike mentality. And yeah, it's a little old school, and you wonder how that's going to translate to today's NBA. But one of the things that I liked about it was the fact that he talked highly about Zion while also emphasizing responsibility and accountability, and knowing that this team is not going to go anywhere unless our best player is not just playing well, but playing, period. You know what I mean? If your best player, Chaez, is missing 52, 53 games out of the season, and spending most of the year in street clothes, exactly. Embiid or even Anthony Davis, throughout his career. Like, there's been issues with some of these star players. I know, but hold on. There was that narrative with AD in New Orleans and a little bit with the Lakers. There were a couple of those seasons. Right. Okay. AD's gotten into some better shape the last few years, but we can't deny that narrative has followed some of these guys. My point being, with Zion being that young and being that unavailable is a problem. And the conditioning aspect, getting healthy, staying healthy, it's good to see that, like Luka, he is committed to a body transformation, and hopefully that will carry over to playing more games into the regular season. They still have a good Scarfy the third, Herbert Jones the second, DeJounte Murray. Anybody remember him? I thought they had a really good draft class as well. I still like Willie Green, although I got to imagine Willie is probably looking over his shoulder, knowing that because the guy that hired him has now been, fired, and David Griffin, he may be on the clock, but I still like him as a head coach. And I'm sure Joe Dumars is going to give him every opportunity to prove himself. New Orleans is probably at best going to be a play-in team, Chaez. I agree. I don't think they're going to go very far, and I think you kind of alluded to that. However, what they need to show is the fact that we can get back to where we were 2-3 years ago, where we were going to the playoffs and at least be in the play-in situation. If you could show that kind of progress, furthermore, Zion could avoid serious injury and prove that this conditioning is not a fluke, similar to Luka, then I think you're going to see a lot more promise and a lot more excitement in New Orleans this season with the Pelicans. What are your thoughts?
I think our big storyline to follow is the Clippers. Honestly, I'm not a fan of what they have going on, but how Tyronn Lue navigates the investigation with all of the players that they have because they actually have a nice squad. I can't get away from the Clipper storyline between on and off the court. I think that one is just going to be
Mhm.
the most intriguing because the All-Star game is looming. You have this investigation. You have new information coming out on a week-to-week basis that's probably going to trail into the season. Does it become too much? There's new articles being
Mm,
written about Uncle Dennis, Kawhi's uncle, that came out today. And this is the first time we won't actually go into any new information that's been dropped about the Clippers in recent weeks. But I just think that storyline is just really interesting because of all of the different moving
for sure.
parts that they have with it. I also really think that what team is going to step up in other teams' absences? Like, you
Yeah,
know, is fit
that's a good one.
can Philly really like because you got Halliburton out, you got the Celtics with Jason Tatum out, you got Milwaukee with Dame out. There are a lot of teams that don't have their best guys that are going to make it an opportunity is going to become available for another team that we don't see coming. And I think one of those teams could be Atlanta in the East, in my opinion, based off of the offseason that they had
Sure.
and Trey Young seemingly very refocused, talking shit with Pat Bev back and forth as the season is about to open. So there's a lot of different storylines. A lot of people are talking about the Phoenix Suns with them losing Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal and bringing in Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks. Um, I personally don't think that Devin Booker can be the best
Mark
player.
Mark Williams.
I don't think Devin Booker can be the best player on the championship team. So, asking him to
Yeah,
be something like a Shea Gilgeous Alexander or a Luka or a Giannis, I just don't think he's one of those players, but he's definitely being paid like it. So that's why people are expecting this of him, but he's not. So it just makes for really uncomfortable. And can John Morant really finally, have the season that he really like you thought maybe yeah last season, but Memphis had to end up firing their coach right before the playoffs, and
Derek Jenkins. Yeah,
Desmond Bane's not there anymore. Can John Morant really break through with Jaren Jackson Jr.? That's really their best player on the Memphis Grizzlies now, based
for
on
sure.
his role. So I just threw out a lot at you, but the number one out of all those that's most interesting is the Clippers with a bunch of their shit looming.
Absolutely. And obviously we got to see how that's going to affect them on the court. You know what I mean? Like we could hear, oh, they're going to get fined. Oh, Ballmer's going to get suspended. Oh, this guy's going to, but unless it trickles down to the court where Kawhi Leonard is now impacted or something else happens. And I agree. I think that is a very intriguing. I'm a little exhausted with it at this point. I think what we've seen is the fact that Uncle Dennis is ambitious under the guise of being shady, or shady under the guise of being ambitious, whichever you want. But I think there's a lot of intriguing storylines. Obviously, a blow for the Houston Rockets losing Fred VanVleet, only a week before training camp. He's going to probably be gone, I'm assuming, all season with the torn ACL. And they're not very deep at the point guard position. They have Reed Shepherd, who did not play much in the NBA last year, spent most of the year in the G League. Talented, former number 3 pick, but is he ready to take on the role as a starting point guard? So I would say, if there's a point guard available out there, which there is in the form of Drew Holiday, who may get moved, do the Rockets consider putting together a package that doesn't include some of their key young guys in order to land Drew Holiday? I think that's going to be one of the scenarios to watch out for. What is basically not necessarily Drew Holiday per se, but what do the Rockets do to address the point guard situation? Is it just going to be a mash unit, Aaron Holiday, Reed Shepherd? Maybe they go after somebody else on a short-term deal, just to kind of get him through. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And by the way, Nick Smith Jr., that could be an option. He just got waived by the Charlotte Hornets. So that could definitely be an option for the Rockets. So did you want to comment on that, Chaz? The Rockets?
Nope. Nope. Could be. I think it just depends on health for them. They might really be able to get it going later on, but we'll see what happens with the Rockets. I do think the addition of Kevin Durant is downplayed. So I won't get too much into that.
For sure.
Let's move on to a team that is currently a champion, and that is your Los Angeles Dodgers, who have now clinched the NL West for the 12th time out of the last 13 years. They will host the wild card series on Tuesday. I'll be there. I'll be in attendance. I can't wait. I was hoping that they didn't blow their lead and end up having to go to Chicago and getting waxed in 2 games by the Cubs. Chris, man, that slip and slide in the locker room with beer all over the place was pretty dope. What do you make of the Dodgers winning the NL West? And what do you think of the bullpen now that Roki Sasaki and Machine, Clayton Kershaw are all seemingly going to be available in addition to Vesia Banda and all the rest of the hosts of the bullpen?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest question going into the playoffs. First of all, congrats to the Dodgers. Winning the division 12 out of 13 years is pretty spectacular.
It's ridiculous.
Considering how much better the Padres. Yeah, it really is. Considering how good the Padres have been in recent years. Considering the fact that only a couple of years ago the Arizona Diamondbacks were in the World Series. Considering that the Giants, you thought they were going to be on the verge of something after that 107-win team. But the fact that the Dodgers continue to win the division, this one was a hard one this year. You think about how bad the bullpen was. Chaez, coming into that game alone, today's game, 11 runs over the last 3 games. 11 runs from the bullpen over the last 3 games. And we were starting to think, oh my gosh, could there be a doomsday scenario where the Padres come back and take the division from them and everything like that? And then they were able to rally last night after choking up another 4-run lead, rally in extra innings. Robleski does a nice job. Tommy Edman at clutch hit and a couple of clutch catches as well. We saw he was really good as well. Shout out to Roki Sasaki and Clayton Kershaw being ready, coming out of the bullpen and pitching not only scoreless frames, but perfect frames. Kershaw was assisted a little bit by Tommy Edman, who robbed Marte in that 9th inning of what could have been extra bases. But still, it's been a tough ride this year, particularly the last 3 months. They've been swept 5 times since the 1st of July, brother. 5 freaking times they've been swept, and they've lost a lot of series that they had no business losing. This month was a disaster for the bullpen. They lost a game where they had a no-hitter with 2 outs in the 9th. How the hell do you lose a game when you're up 3-0 with a no-hitter with 2 outs in the 9th? How the hell do you go 1-5 on a road trip against 2 last-place teams in Pittsburgh and Baltimore?
Hey, man, look.
Let me finish over here. Let me just finish, and I'll turn it over to you.
All right.
But my point is, even with all that, when you see them win the division and celebrate, and you think about all those moments it takes to get there, all of the shortcomings, all of the stuff we've complained about, myself included, myself especially, believe me, I'm holding myself accountable. It is kind of fun, and it goes to show you why we love baseball, and I quoted 2 things that Jeff Passan put out there because he was talking about Cleveland coming back on Detroit for the AL Central. He talked about how it's a 3-team race to a mad dash to the finish line in the NL for the final wild card spot. How could you not love baseball? 2 quotes. One from Little Big League. This is baseball, guys. Anything could happen.
Of course.
And Brad Pitt from Moneyball is Billy Beane. How could you not be romantic about baseball? And now the real fun part and the stressful part begin next week. And we're going to see what this Dodger team does in a very short series where anything could happen. It's bad enough. An NLDS of 5 games could be stressful. Try on that wild card round for a change. What did you think, though?
I think the only time that they've been to the wild card round, was it a 1-gamer against St. Louis in 2021?
1. Yeah, correct. Very good. It was a 1-game. That was the last year they had the 1-game format. And then the next year in 2022.
So the Dodgers haven't been
with the 2 byes.
They haven't been in the wild card as a 3. So
no, they've lost 2 times though to the wild card winners.
They have.
In 22 to the Padres and 23 to the Snakes. Yeah.
Right. So
but you're right, they haven't actually played.
I love the question to Dave Roberts in the locker room today, and he was just like, I don't care where we play. I'm just confident on where we're at right now. And I think the bats have woken up. The bats are starting to wake up. So I'm confident that Mookie especially, Freddie looks good, Teoscar looks good, Muncy looks good, obviously Pajes looks good. The Otani looks good. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, even
MVP.
yeah, even Conforto, he hasn't been playing much, thankfully, ever since Edmund got back. He just had a
Yeah.
coming off a three a
Rojas. Yeah.
three hit game. Rojas is hitting, more than he normally
Mhm.
does. So, I mean, the fact that you don't even have to play Conforto is phenomenal. So, we've gotten through the season. I'm surprised, Tanner Scott even got back out there today, even though they had an 8-0 lead. He got through his inning. And I love that Bonda was able to come in and just shut him down and close out the game the way that he did. So it's all about momentum. And right now, the Dodgers have a ton of momentum. They just have to win 2 out of 3 in this weekend, specifically Sunday. If you can get that win Sunday before you have to play on Tuesday,
Mhm.
that's great.
For sure. And sometimes, Chaz, what we have said for the Dodgers in that wild card round is they have no momentum. They're sitting on their hands for 5 days, while this other team is basically coming off the high of the wild card round. So it's risky. It's like if this works out and we win, now we'll have momentum playing either the Brewers or the Phillies, depending on, the matchups and everything like that, which I believe would be the Phillies. A 3-6 matchup against the Mets, the Reds, or the Diamondbacks, although I think Arizona might be out of it at this point, barring a miracle finish, then yeah, they're going to have a tough go of it with the Philadelphia Phillies, who they played well against, but they couldn't finish. And, Phillies have got big boppers over there, and they've played well in October in recent years. Here's the thing about them. Do you have guys where you could stick this together? That's really going to be the big question. Treinen, Scott, Vesia. Can they get hot? Because Kershaw and Sasaki could be multi-inning guys for you. And I think that's going to be the strategy that Dave Roberts is going to strongly consider. But at some point, you're going to need those 3 guys. I don't think, like you mentioned, Sheehan, Sasaki, Kershaw doing the piggyback start. We'll see how it goes. But as you know, sometimes these starters don't make it through 4 or 5 innings. So you need to
Nah, but
have someone to get you basically 12 outs. So that's my
yeah,
question.
you just
Can those guys give you enough to back up your starters?
I think so. I think so. And I don't think that you just put those guys in for an inning or two. I think those are guys that you can even open with if it's a bullpen game. But you probably won't have very many bullpen games because you got
No.
Otani, you got Yamamoto, and that's who
Mhm.
seems like the fact that Otani and Yamamoto, forget Snell and Glasnow for now. Snell has it going, Glasnow has it going. Everybody looks good from a
Yeah. They've been
pitcher
great. Yeah.
perspective. Even
Yeah.
Sheehan,
Sheehan too
even
has been
Kershaw. But
outstanding. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have Otani and Yamamoto both are coming off of no hitters pretty much almost in certain respects, mowing guys down. They look the most postseason ready. Those
Mhm.
are going to be your game 1 and 2 starters, I believe, for Tuesday and Wednesday. And it's just you just got to keep it rolling. So go Dodgers. I wore the shirt today for a reason. Hopefully I get to go to another parade
For sure.
this year. But let's close it out the right way,
And
Chris. We
also,
got
and let me
oh,
just say this.
go ahead.
Well, hold on. I just want to make one more point. The luxury, it's 2 things. One, it's ironic. Last year, what was the big question mark? We trust the bullpen. We don't trust the rotation. Now it's we don't trust the bullpen, and the rotation is deep as hell. What's so good is that even if this wild card round goes the distance against whoever they play, Mets, Reds, or whoever, um, if you burn through Otani, Snell, and Yamamoto, you've got Glass now going in game 1 of the next series. That's pretty damn good. You have potentially Emmett Sheehan in a game 2 scenario, depending on, the situation. That is a really good situation for the Dodgers to have with this depth, assuming who gets used when in the wild card round. So I just wanted to point that out, that the depth this year of the rotation is working out exactly how Andrew Friedman had planned for it last winter when he went after the starters that he went after, like Blake Snell.
Yeah. Snell gonna do his damn thing too. Getting into the closeout real quick because we got to talk a little bit of football, Chris, because that game in Seattle tonight was great. Hate the fact that the Cardinals came
Yeah,
back. I'm not a fan of either team, obviously. NFC West, my Rams don't like either of them, but I had money on the Seahawks, so I was definitely rooting for my pockets. Took them at +1. They closed at a -1.5 favorite. Love the fact that I was able to win off that. Chris, what are some of the matchups that you're looking forward to, or the matchup that you're looking forward to the most this upcoming weekend?
First of all, I got my ass handed to me last week, and I got off to a rough start here on Thursday night because I took the Cards, who were a 1-point dog, in my pick'em, and man, I really wanted them to go for 2. Otherwise, it would have been a push. There's some good matchups this week. By the way, don't sleep on Detroit. Detroit's looking really good right now. That was an impressive Monday night win against my Baltimore Ravens, who I said on here that I thought they were going to win and cover. They looked awful, especially in the red zone. They still scored 30 points, but it was not that sharp of a game. Chaez, it's kind of hard not to look at Colts Rams. These are two really good teams. I know the Rams are coming off of a devastating loss where the game-winning kick by Cardi was blocked and then returned for a touchdown, which I think screwed a lot of people over last week. Colts have been outstanding. Shane Steichen's done a tremendous job, reinvigorating Danny Dimes. We'll see how the Rams bounce back and see if we're going to have a shootout or if it's going to be more of a defensive slog in this game coming up. So that's the game I'm looking at. Rams are in my pick'em favored at 3.5. I think you got to go Colts as the dog. I think it'll be a 3-point game. I don't see the Rams winning by more than a field goal to me. I think Ravens and Chiefs, two teams that have been a little slow out of the gate, some disappointing losses on both sides. How do they both bounce back? The Chiefs looked good up in New York last week, taking out the Giants, but can they beat a very good Ravens team who I think are also due to bounce back from a tough loss as well? So those are the two games I'm looking forward to as well. And of course, Micah's return to Dallas. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, that I can't believe you took you that long to get to that. That's the game to watch. Green Bay. So, and let's just get right into picks. Let's just roll right into picks. Green Bay 6.5.
Get picks or die trying.
Hammer it. Okay, take Green Bay. I'll get to the other two, but the games that I'm looking forward to the most are actually both NFC games. Outside of the Rams, obviously. I'll be there Sunday, rooting on Rams house. And really quick on that, the Colts haven't done anything. The game that they won against the Broncos, they should have lost. They got a great break, a bad break for the Broncos on that punk ass leveraging call that cost me money on that spread, by the way. That's the only team that they beat. The other two teams that they beat don't even have wins. In the Miami Dolphins, who have just been absolutely trashed this year, and the Tennessee Titans, who are starting a rookie quarterback who are ass as well this year. So you haven't really done anything, and you're stepping up against the Rams, who just did what they did to the Eagles. Oh yeah, bring it in that Rams house, because I should put Rams -3.5 on here, but like you said, that hook, I don't really like. I think the Rams win by at least a field goal, but Green Bay 6.5, but also I'm looking at Eagles Bucks. That's going to be a tough game, especially in Tampa. Early in the season, humid. It's going to be a low-scoring game, in my opinion. It always really is against those two teams. Good defensive battle. Jalen Hurts coming off a big win. Baker Mayfield coming off a big win as well. No Mike Evans, though, just hurt his hamstring. So obviously the Eagles have the edge in that one.
Chris Godwin coming back. We'll see how he looks.
Godwin coming back. So that game I'm actually really, really looking forward to watching as well. So getting into picks real quick, Chris. Jacksonville. You play the number, not the team. Jacksonville 3.5 against the San Francisco 49ers, if you can get the hook. No Joey Bosa. I'm sorry, no Nick Bosa. And just a lot of injuries for the Niners. No Ayuk either. He's been out. And I just like the way the Jags are playing. And I don't see San Francisco beating them by more than a field goal. So if you can get the hook, take that. And New England against the Carolina Panthers. Carolina is awful. They come off of a big win over Atlanta because Atlanta is just up and down inconsistent with a rookie quarterback as well. I think New England puts it on the Panthers, win by at least a touchdown. You don't even need the extra point. The spread is 5.5. Go ahead and take that with New England at home. We're thinking that this might be the game that Travion Henderson breaks out, the rookie for the New England Patriots. I have him on my fantasy. I'm praying he does. But I like the spread. You play the number, not the team, and I like the Patriots by at least a touchdown. No extra point needed.
Yeah, all no extra point. Yeah, all good picks right there. I think they're solid. I'm interested to see how the pack. I know they're going to be motivated, but how Dallas looks in that game. I don't believe they're going to have CD Lamb, right? Lamb's going to probably not play, or at least questionable. So we'll see how he looks in that one. So I like those picks. Yeah, I'm almost afraid to tell everyone what I think, because I just have not been very good these first couple of weeks.
3-12. Chris went,
Unless you
guys.
think
Chris went 3-12 last week, guys. Just so you guys know.
horrid, but hey, it happens, man. It happens to the best of them. Hell, even a great player is gonna have rough shooting nights, Chaez. So need I remind you what did Kobe do in Game 7 against the Celtics? 6 for 24. I mean, that happens, man. But yeah, no, I think your picks are good. I think the Chiefs as the home dog, I think that's one to consider for this week. They're 2.5 in my pick 'em. So we'll see how that happens. And you know what? Browns and the defense versus the offense. I wonder if the Browns can make that game competitive in Detroit, or if Detroit's going to run ripshot off of them. That's an interesting one. That's a steep line at 9 points. So we'll see what happens there. I think the safe bet is the Lions. I think they could win that game by 10, but I don't know. Cleveland's got a really good defense, so we'll see. We'll see how that comes out.
I got a question. I got a question in the chat. Ashley's asking, pick for Ravens Chiefs. I think the Ravens are favored 2.5. Chiefs points
2.5. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Patrick
You want to do home
Mahomes
dogs?
coming off of a win, points at home. I mean, look, again, I always say, if you're betting, you play the number, not the team. I like the 2.5, but I do think the Ravens are the better team. But I like the number.
Sure.
Oh man, which is why you don't bet it.
That's hit me a tough one.
If you think it's that close. But if I were to just pick a team, I think it's going to be tough for the Ravens to go in there and beat the Chiefs. Even though I do,
and they just have not been very sharp.
Yeah. I think it's going to be. Kelsey hasn't done a damn thing in fantasy, but I just don't see the Chiefs losing at home with the Ravens looking the way that they have looked the Chiefs have not been good offensively this year, but the Ravens, I think, are gonna make the Chiefs look great because of what Detroit was able to do with them in the running game. So if Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt could average more than 3.5 yards a carry, I think the Chiefs might have the edge, especially at home. I might throw a little bit on the Chiefs if you're going to give me some points. I don't know. Any other picks, Chris? Micah?
Yeah. No, I agree. Interesting game for sure. Two teams that are struggling out of the gates. Who does that favor? Does it favor the home dog, or do the Ravens kind of reassert some control? That 2.5 though, and not the 3, definitely makes that interesting. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that one, brother.
Yeah, should be good. Should be a great Sunday. I mean, the only thing about going to the games is that you can't really watch the other games that are going on because you're getting to the game and watching so there's so many games going on, but that Colts Rams game is a game I cannot miss. Both teams playing good, and the Colts haven't done shit really. So I'm interested to see
We're
if
going to
Daniel
see if they're
can Daniel Jones really hold up against Byron Young and Jared Verse and that Rams pass rush. I'd like to see.
Yeah. No, we're gonna see. We're gonna see if the Colts are pretenders or for real. I think this will be the game to tell. And even if they don't win, they just have to play well. But if they get blown out in this game, believe me, everybody will be like, "Oh, yeah, that's what we thought." Guys like you will be saying that. So yeah, it's gonna be a good weekend of games, no question about it. And I'm just hoping to bounce back, because tonight I had the Cardinals, the home dogs, and they almost pulled it out, but unfortunately left a little too much time for Sam Darnold. And by the way, go Hawks, man. Seattle looks good. What?
May I ask you, what made you pick the Cardinals?
Home dogs, dude. 1 point. Coin flip. I didn't think Murray was going to look that bad for that long against that freaking defense.
Okay.
But not having James Conner against that defense, I haven't gauged the Seahawks yet. I think everyone thought Seahawks were going to take a step back this year, and they haven't.
No, their defense is solid.
There are certain teams. There are certain teams where you don't always know how to gauge them every year. And for me, it's always the same 4 or same 5. Seahawks, Jaguars, Raiders, Bengals, and Giants. I never know how to pick with those guys.
You can leave that just when you pick
against them.
We've known what the Giants are.
Yeah, but look at them against the Cowboys, dude.
Hey, really quick. I traded Jamar Chase for Malik Neighbors. Tell me I'm an idiot.
Well, the thing is, Browning was still, targeting him a lot. That's why it's like, okay, yeah, no Joe Burrow. But Chase is still going to get a lot of touches. Whereas with Neighbors, now with Jackson Dart, is he going to have that kind of success? That's the thing to really kind of watch out for is the quarterback situation with these receivers.
I think Dart's going to get the ball to the best guy. That's why I do.
We'll see, man. So. But as well as I do. For example, Spencer Rattler, right? Guess who one of his favorite targets is? Juwan Johnson. I picked him up. I had 3 tight ends at one point because Goddard was hurt and I had Zach Ertz and I didn't start him. So I ended up needing a tight end. So I had 3 tight ends and I picked up Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson is here to stay to the point where I dropped Zach Ertz. Why? Because Daniels is now hurt and they got Mariota starting. So, he became expendable. So now I have Goddard and I got Juwan Johnson as my backup, but who knows? I may consider starting Juwan Johnson again, even though they're at Buffalo this week. And, we'll see how that game goes over Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But
that's my point. It's about who the targets are.
That's why we love that the games are back. We are entering the sports solstice of the year, where NFL, NBA, and MLB all combined in the same month. It starts within under a week because on October 3rd, the first preseason NBA games. So October 3rd through Halloween, we are getting all 3 sports every day, and it is the best time of the year, not including college football as well, if you're into that also. So we are gearing up for the best part of the year, and you can tap in with us here every week, every Wednesday evening at 8 to 8:15 p.m. on Wednesday evenings. You can catch us. We are going to come at you with great content moving forward. And we just appreciate everybody that's tapped in. Chris, where can they follow you, my man?
You could always follow me on Twitter at Chris _Camelo, and on Instagram, @CCamelo1. Be sure to follow us on our YouTube channel as well as our Instagram at The Outlet Forum. That's at The Outlet Forum. Chaez, are you sure we're going to be on Wednesdays moving forward? We had a little bit of a mix-up. This is our 3rd straight week doing a Thursday, so I just want to make sure
we are sure Wednesdays moving forward.
Okay, good. Yeah, we had a little bit of a mix-up, but I don't mind the Thursday nights either. So, good stuff tonight. We'll see what the Dodgers do this weekend up in Seattle. Seattle's, even though they clinched their first AL West title since 2001, they're still playing for best record. Dodgers are trying to finish the season off on a high note. And that Padres-Cubs series is locked in. So San Diego will head out to the Windy City to take on the Cubbies. So that should be an interesting wild card round in the National League. So, and then we'll see what happens in the American League. Still a lot to be decided over there, especially in that AL Central, my friend.
Tigers can't figure it out.
Nope.
Precipitous decline. So we'll get into all that next week, next Wednesday. We appreciate y'all tapping in. We'll see y'all. Peace.